The following is a fan-based review. All materials discussed are property of Toei Inc., Bandai, and Saban Entertainment.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Tokucast Reviews.
Review!
Alright.
Before we get started.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard this week, unfortunately, Tetsuya Nomi, Daigo the Heavenly Time Star from Die Ranger, did pass away. So we do want to go ahead and dedicate this review to him. You know, one of our favorite characters from one of our favorite shows, Toku-wise at least. It's sad. It's a little bit depressing. I found out this morning, I was sitting here like, God, I was in a good mood. And now it's gone.
Sad.
Very sad.
But from what he gave us, it was great.
So I would like to have a moment of silence.
Sad faces only. Sad reacts only.
Sad reacts only.
That works too.
But yeah.
We're going to hell. Anyway.
Go ahead and getting on to the actual review. Episode 32.
Oh, that far in?
Yes, we are that far in. We almost have a year's worth of episodes with another 20 episodes after this. We got a while. But Agito, Kamen Rider Agito, 2001. I'm excited for
the
this
follow-up to Kuga, one of our favorite Kamen Rider shows ever.
Yeah. We're going to end up doing this one a little bit differently for the main reason that this show and I have issues with each other.
And since Marcus is the one who likes to summarize the plot, what he says goes on this. And he doesn't want to talk for an hour and a half about a plot that he finds very boring.
Yeah, I have such a major problem with Agito's plot in itself. But before we end up getting to that, we got to end up doing what we usually do.
The opening.
The opening.
I like it.
I love it.
I like it. It's alright.
It's great.
It's not the best, but it's passable.
Ready to go. Count 0.
Kamen
Rider
Rider
Agito. So good.
Remember a friend in college loved this opening to death?
Freaking David.
David, if you're watching this, fuck you.
But yeah.
Freaking David was the subject of a lot of things.
It's true. It's very, very true. Our couch is. But, Agito, man, getting to this show. Now, I have a major issue mostly with the show because of its pacing. And I get the feeling that a lot of things are just stretched out just a little bit too far.
A little bit, but this is the first show that I've been able to watch for a long time because I've been out on tour. I appreciated coming back to something that was slower.
Yeah.
Something that is not as breakneck pace as some shows are.
Like
something that's more serialized.
I hold
which I loved
Agito
about this show.
in a much higher
really need to
regard.
watch Kuga then.
Yeah. Like, I hold Agito in a much higher regard than, say, O's. Because of its serialized nature.
Fair enough.
I love serialization, but it feels like, especially because the writer for this one, in case you didn't freaking know, is freaking Inoue. You know, the guy who wrote Jetman and also wrote Thighs. And that shows a couple of times in this show. But it's just like a lot of the things I have is just the fact that, you know, some things will just be casually mentioned in one episode and just like, okay, we really want to learn more about this thing, and they have ample time to
There's a
explain
lot of things in the show that will get mentioned or immediately glossed over.
Yeah.
That I'll be like, wait, what? But okay, we're moving on.
Like, a lot of the things in this show end up happening on this boat.
Like,
Akatsuki incident.
that's kind of a pet peeve of mine. If you have this kind of alternate world with different rules and different terms and everything, you can't, and you're writing a show, you can't just throw those terms out there, don't explain and move the fuck on like we know what you're talking about.
You need to establish what the rules of your universe are.
Kuga did that very well.
Exposition, people.
Kuga built up the lore and universe pretty early. Agito sort of just doesn't.
Well, the thing is also, is it not a direct sequel to Kuga? I've never been clear on that.
Okay, well, I have right here a quote.
We have quotes
from the official Agito production website.
Holy shit, we're getting all sorts of serious.
Well,
we have sources.
Here's what it says. Yusuke Godai fought so hard to put smiles on everyone's faces that if another conflict were to break out afterwards, it would diminish the value of everything he fought for. You're free to enjoy Agito as a continuation of Kuga if you so wish, or imagine that it takes place in a parallel world if you so choose. I appreciate that this may sound like ass pull, however, so I guess would say that, it's translated, so it sounds kind of weird. So I guess I would say that while Agito takes place 2 years after number 4 destroys the unidentified life forms, it is not a sequel to Kuga, So take that to the show with that in mind.
It's like the way that Inoue...
And that makes it worse.
The way that Inoue ends up setting it up is like, he mentions it within like the first 4 episodes, you know, like it's all connected to number 4, you know, from 2 years ago and things like that, and you know, unidentified life forms.
They mention like unidentified. It's like, is this like what happened 2 years ago? So I assume they were talking about what happened in Kuga, because like when Hikawa's talking about unidentified life forms and stuff, and this is in the very first episode.
Yeah,
they all like the cops already know that there are monsters out there.
It's like
so they make a suit which looks like Kuga.
And that's the very first suit we see.
It's like
the first thing you see in the first episode.
I love that about this, that we end up seeing the secondary writer first.
This is one of the only times this has happened.
Well, we end up getting it next time too.
Well, it's
It's just like,
it doesn't happen much.
The way that Inoue ends up setting it up is like, at the beginning he wanted to be connected to Kuga, and then it was like, no.
Also, how often are we introduced to the main writer of the show and not know who he is? We don't, like, the first time we see Agito, we have no idea who he is.
He doesn't even know who he is.
That's one of the things this show lost points for me for immediately, though. It's about a guy with amnesia.
Yeah. I'll give you like
so many.
That lost points for me too. But I was more just referring to the fact where we see a mysterious writer, Agito, and we don't know who he is. Nobody does.
Speaking of which, let's go ahead
it's a mystery.
Do our normal thing here. Let's talk about this Agito suit.
I like it a lot. I love the suit.
It's based on a dragon.
It's based on the Japanese dragon, I believe.
Yeah, yes. Japanese or Chinese.
I love the way that when he first walks in and just looks like, because he comes up just super slow walking
at night.
You do at night. So, you know, expensive.
The first like 2 fights in this show are at night,
and he doesn't have fires.
Which is interesting.
And it's not fires. So he doesn't have his own flashlight.
The thing about this is I love the fact that in universe they understand that these are not the same unidentified life forms, the Garangi, that
who put people in trees.
That was terrifying.
Yep.
The way the monsters kill people freaked me the hell out.
Kid show.
Japan.
For the kiddies.
Again, I still haven't seen Kuga, which
Kuga wasn't that bad.
It wasn't?
No. There was like one violent act.
It was inventive. The way
it was inventive. But this one, like, just like, crunching you up and like putting you in a tree or like melting you into a wall. One monster, the wasp one that like melts you into the floor, it's like his legs are it's on a bridge. Guy's legs are sticking out the bottom and his arm is sticking out on the top. That was terrifying.
I love the way that they actually later on, because once again, they don't end up giving a reason for why the monsters are targeting people until much later on in the show.
Yeah.
But it's like everybody, the Agito seed is inside of them, basically.
But back to what we were originally talking about, which is the suit. It's a very simple design, very symmetrical, simple. Which is good. And I like how...
it changes color depending on his weapon.
It changes color depending on his weapon. Right now, I think we should just talk about the base form since he hasn't gotten the alternate forms yet.
I mean, we're not
really going... he gets them almost immediately.
Yeah, we're not really going by story.
Fair, right now. And the unfolding of his horns...
I like the way the crest unfolds.
The crest, it goes from a very beetle-looking thing to dragon for his finisher, which I think is very cool.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the name of the forms. What's the spear one called?
Thunder, I think.
Let me get it. Fuck.
Hit the spacebar harder so the mic can pick it
up. Storm. Flame is the sword. Trinity.
Which is them together.
Which he doesn't
they very took after Kuga with these basic change color and gets a weapon and it's
one of the things I absolutely loved about this show is excluding power-ups, those are his only 3 forms. He just has those.
Yeah, excluding
the power-ups, like this is it.
The thing I hate,
there's no he doesn't have 800 million different possibilities, which is kind of a problem with other shows.
The biggest thing I have about this, and the fact they really end up doing it, as I said, a lot better in Kuga's storyline wise, especially with these. They don't explain the actual gem inside of his belt like they did with Kuga.
They don't.
And it's like with Kuga, it's like these weapons that are coming out, not out of the actual gem itself. They come out of him having to actually find something. Find. And
we're still talking about Kuga, right?
Yes, we're talking about Kuga in this
case. He's got to find like a pipe.
A gun. something that would end up coming out to make it like a sword, like the handle on his back after it, it actually starts to come out. With Agito, though, it's like everything is literally given to him.
Yes.
It's given to him.
It's given to him, but it also doesn't give him that much.
It doesn't give him that much.
So I think it kind of balances out. He doesn't have a ranged weapon.
Which is true.
Yeah.
And
everything about him is very close
Let's also
quarters.
talk about how they do this weird balance. I'm talking about aesthetically, where his base forms, like his power-up forms and his base form are all very symmetrical, but his weapon forms are extremely asymmetrical. Like he literally gets one color on an arm and a weapon, and it gets an opposite.
But then when he uses Trinity form, it's both colors, but it also purple.
Yeah, in the middle.
The red and blue combined,
and
which
he's
I
still
thought was
asymmetrical because the red form has that spike on the shoulder.
Yeah.
And it's still really cool, in my opinion.
I like it.
I also love the design of the weapons themselves.
Also, is this... Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is one of the few Kamen Riders where he gets a different weapon before he gets a sword. Normally they get a sword first as their main weapon.
Nowadays,
here he uses the staff first.
Nowadays, but this and in Kuga, the sword was like the last form he got.
Yeah, the first one, for both of them, was the staff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know if you want
because I'm used to everyone having a sword.
Yeah, nowadays all base forms come with a sword.
So it's a little different to see, or a hammer that turns into a sword.
It's always a sword.
It's always a sword.
But yeah, it's just like with this, and we can get into, let's go ahead and get into G3 a little bit. We did talk about him.
We'll talk about his power. We'll talk about Agito's power forms later.
Yeah, just a little bit later. For G3,
G3.
I love the fact that once again they end up screwing up the story with the G3 suit itself, and in the Kuga manga they actually end up connecting Kuga and Agito definitively in that. Like I remember you said in one of our other reviews that you wanted, the secondary writer from Kuga to be like get the G1 suit. They do that in the manga to actually connect the two universes.
Interesting.
Agito's older sister, Shoichi's older sister, Yukina, who is the other one of the other
first
Agitos.
Agito.
Yeah, in this show, actually shows up in that manga to actually really connect those universes just that much more fluidly.
And for people who've been asking, we're not right now planning on reviewing the manga just because that's just so much.
Well, no, in this case, I don't think the Kuga ones are translated, but
that's also a problem.
There are things that are...
I can't read Japanese.
He can.
Yeah. I'm getting better at it. I still can't read kanji. I can read hiragana and katakana, though. I'm up there. But
it's 2 out of 3.
Well, yeah.
Moving on.
But yeah, it's like the Kuga one is like their summaries are available on the Kamen Rider wiki. But the G3 suit, they built it to fight the Goromi, the unidentified
life
forms from that show.
And then when word flubs, not my fault this time.
When they end up getting to the unknown in this show, they're not ready for it.
No.
So
G3 gets his ass kicked
a lot. He's there mainly to stall the monster. For story purposes, he's there to stall the monster until Agito shows up and then just Rider.
And then he gets G3X where he can stall them just a little bit longer.
I will say, though, I love G3's design.
Oh, yeah.
I like G3X's design, too.
Well, I like G3 looks a lot like Kuga. That's obvious for a reason.
But
they both look like they belong in fucking Metal Hero Beetleborgs.
And that's probably why, as you know, by this point, Metal Heroes was canceled. I blame those last 2 kid shows.
Huh.
Yeah. Sadness.
Anyway.
But yeah, this is like going into this. Of course, we end up having what is his name? Ryo Ashihara, who's a swimmer in the show. He ends up.
I was gonna say, when did this turn into Free?
He ends up meeting Shoichi like on the steps of.
They pass by. They don't really meet. They just sort of pass by each other, and it does one of those like slow motion.
It's like these characters are important.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it does.
And he's Gills. So it's this show. Sort of does a couple of firsts.
Tertiary writer.
Yeah, this show does a couple of firsts. We end up getting 3 writers in the same show. 4 writers in this show. There's a movie. The first time we ever actually end up getting a movie.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. And I love the fact that Gills is sort of like like a more feral form of the Agito suit.
Gills kind of reminded me of what I wish Amazon's was.
That and also a legitimate version of that Kamen Rider movie. I can't remember what it's called. Shin. Yeah, where he bites people and shit.
Yeah, that's another thing.
He does do that. He's
Also,
like
that rider kick.
He has one of the worst rider kicks I've ever seen.
I wish
It looks painful.
No, it doesn't.
It just looks like it didn't do enough.
Here's the thing. The fact that it opens up with an axe kick, if the axe kick was the finisher, that would be fine. But no, it's like, I'm just going to rest my foot on you for like 2 minutes and screech at you, and then I'm going to go, eh.
Yeah,
and then the monster just explodes.
It doesn't.
There's no impact.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like if it would have came out the other side of the monster, that would have just made it just that much more.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like it looks a little bit underwhelming. Like I like it, but I really wish they would have went farther with it.
Or if it had been simpler, like if it was just like dead, like freaking guillotines him with an axe kick, that would have been great.
Even with his Exceed form.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now, since we are talking about Exceed, let's go ahead and get into the super forms for Agito.
I like them a lot.
Burning is a great form, but damn, remember how long it was on screen for?
Not very.
2 episodes before he got Shining.
Yeah.
That's terrible pacing.
Also, it was in the show as long as it was in the first Backstride War, if I recall.
The first?
Yeah, because they had a timer.
Right.
It's just like, it felt really, really underwhelming. And like I said,
it looked cool though.
I
like the effects of. I like the cracks in it where it's like flame is coming out of it.
Magma.
When he does the flaming rider punch and it's just like fire coming out.
But as we said, like in our Cougar
not to
review,
mention the Amazon/Batman style arm blades.
The gauntlets, yeah.
Like as we mentioned in our Cougar review, they did really, really well with the forms in that show.
It's like he had to learn how to use them, and you got to watch him learn how to use them.
We got those base forms within the first 8 episodes. And then, the first 8 to 10 episodes. Mm-hmm. And then it's just like, it took a little bit, and then he got the upgraded forms of those. Yeah. Although there was a build-up with the golden energy crackling off of him. Yeah. And then, we didn't even get his final form until the last... What? We got the Amazing Mighty, the black version of Mighty. Yeah. And then we got, his ultimate form in the very last episode. Yeah. But even though that was in the same time period, that happens in the last couple episodes of Kuga. In this show... Burning happens at the same time that after a mid-season power-up or right before the more recent, ultimate forms end up happening. Mm-hmm. And I really don't like that. Essentially because the fact
let us get used to and enjoy the mid-form or the mid-season power-up. So that way when you introduce the ultimate...
It has more of an impact.
It has more of an impact.
Mm-hmm.
Like, get to the point where he uses it for a few episodes and he wrecks people, then he finds that enemy that even Burning can't beat. So he needs to get Shining or something like that.
And then
I know it's very shonen and generic, but...
Another question. Is this the only Kamen Rider form that is solar powered that you could think of?
Yeah, I think so. No one's ever really made a point about it.
Yes.
Okay.
Now that we've gotten all that off our chest,
we do have one more. Another Agito, whose story, by the way, basically ends up getting swallowed up.
I noticed that.
Amongst everything else. Like, Kino is not there for that long. Like, I like the things that are going on around him, but then he ends up getting beaten by Exceed Gills. He ends up losing his power to God. We'll get to God in a second. And then...
he gets kicked in the face.
And then he dies.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, your story just gets swallowed up by everything else that's happening at the same time. So...
There's a lot of characters in the show.
Yeah, a lot of extraneous characters.
Yeah.
And it's just like, because you have the uncle, his son.
It's his son.
Mana,
who is his niece.
The niece who tries to have a main plot, but she's just so boring.
She's unexplained psychic du jour.
We end up getting...
That's one thing that's in the show, unexplained psychic powers.
Yeah.
I mean, they get explained at some point, I think, because other people have the powers too.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And then you end up getting like...
That felt very extraneous.
You get Sumiko Ozawa, who did end up making like the G3 suit and everything.
I liked her a lot.
I loved her in this show.
Sumiko was great.
As I said, strong female characters, always a great thing. That are written well.
But I think she was written well.
And they're too far and few between.
Yeah. But then, like, you end up getting her foil, I guess, in Hojo. Is his name Hojo?
Yeah, Hojo.
Yeah, so he was just an ass.
I liked him, though. I thought he was a good foil for Hikawa and Ozawa.
More or less, and then they end up trying to start this whole romance thing at the end of the show with her and Ozawa.
Do they, though? It doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
It doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, they sort of...
Because she's in another country at the end of the show. Yeah. She's just like, oh, I'm going to go to England and be...
Well, no, he's there, too.
No, he's somewhere else.
I thought he actually
No, he was arresting a Japanese criminal, and then Ozawa just calls him and he's like, "Hi." Yeah, and then she starts speaking English. And then Hojo was the one who shows up in England.
Yeah, and then you end up having, as I said, Hojo, the other guy who's a part of the G3 team.
He's just kind of there.
He just, he and Hojo.
His name is Other Guy.
He really is the other guy. He doesn't really. He's there to go, nah. He's there to react.
And then they have, what was it, G3 Mild, which is another form of one of the suits. Another Agito looks fine. I like the fact that it looks more like gills than like Agito. And he's also a grasshopper themed one. It's our first one in the Heisei era to have a grasshopper theme.
What was Kuga's theme?
Kuga was some sort of beetle.
Okay.
I will also mention this in like one of the last couple episodes with the police department, because once again, this is another show where the police are obviously a very prominent part, but it's not so much a team thing because they all end up going to G3 more often than not. Mm-hmm. One of the last like higher ups that you end up seeing is the guy who played Jin and Dr. Kemp from from Die Ranger and Live Man, respectively. Oh. This is his last time he is showing up in the Tokusatsu because he doesn't like the way that the show was going at this point. After this, we end up getting, pretty toyetic for quite some time.
Yeah, I know that's one of the things I liked about the show, though, is it wasn't toyetic.
Yeah, that's one of the things I really like about Kuga,
because after
Agito.
After Kuga and Agito, they realized they have a franchise.
Well, I mean, Ryuki sort of did it, but Fi's really dialed back on that. Where all they was just...
I would say Ryuki did it a lot because we have so many riders.
Cards.
So many cards, so many riders, so many action figures.
Children card games. And then they all died. But like, this show is just... It feels like it moves too fast in some places, moves too slow in others. Like that girl who said she was like Shoichi's ex-girlfriend or something. She ends up... getting like her Agito awakened, and she gets
psychic powers,
and she gets super killed.
Yeah.
Like we understand why she thought that the police team that ended up killing Gills, even though he didn't actually die, she goes through and just starts killing all of them. Yeah. Hojo was going to end up being,
and it was because of something that had to do with her past.
Let's
something
go
like that.
Talk about God. Jesus.
Before we talk about
the
God,
Lord Jesus.
we haven't really talked about Agito's shining form yet.
It's white, it's cool looking and everything, but
I think it was on our best top.
It was. It just came too fast.
So we like it.
No, yeah, it's great.
But yeah,
I love the dual sword because we don't really see that very often.
Yeah, it just legitimately.
I like it. Yeah, it's a double bladed sword that he can pull out into two different swords.
But
which is cool.
All right, on to God.
The gods in this show.
Yes, the dark god and the god of light.
The way that this show is setting up itself is they end up having some gigantic puzzle.
That's the very first thing you see in the show.
Yeah. It's really, really strange because it gets mentioned, and then like the monsters help the science team like unlock it, and then like unlock it faster. Yeah. Then when they do, like the scientist lady ends up something ends up coming out of the top of it. It's like a jar of DNA or something.
It's this big super puzzle.
Yeah, and they like put it into this container, and all of a sudden a baby sprouts from it. A baby from the jar from nothing, and then it keeps growing faster and faster until it becomes like an adult, basically. Yeah. It ends up becoming the Dark God.
I thought it was Shoichi at first.
Speaking of which, Shoichi's not even his name.
Yeah, it's not.
It's Shoichi is the name of the guy that the Dark God was working with to sort of kill all the Agito.
He meets the real one.
We didn't even talk about Agito's bike.
We love it.
Love that bike.
It's good.
I love a sports bike. I'm sad they don't.
I like how it turns into a hoverboard.
Yeah, in that one episode.
And he can use it to rider kick people.
But like the god himself is just like, I'm gonna try to kill all of humanity.
Yeah.
And then the light god's just like, no, you're not. I'm gonna give these humans Agitos.
It's pretty much the most like lackadaisical war between good and evil.
Yeah, and it. I just don't like. I don't like a lot of the things.
I found the villains in the show to be very lackluster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like they didn't end up doing as much as they possibly could have.
They just, like, the Dark God in particular just sort of sits in a hospital room.
Yeah.
For 90% of the show, just sitting there going, yes.
That's basically all I end up doing. He basically ends up becoming Mr. Burns for a good while. He ends up sending out the whale unknown to go around and start killing everybody.
Yeah.
Which is very powerful because I love that scene because the whale unknown... As we said earlier, there's the Akatsuki boat incident where like a whole bunch of the Agitos got killed. That's where Soichi and his sister were and his sister was dating the actual
Shoichi.
And then she ends up killing herself.
Because a lot of people did. A lot of people with the Agito
so.
seed, either they couldn't transform, and like the power got too much for them, so they would take their own life. So.
Yeah. And the whale one was the one who came into the boat and tried to kill everybody.
Yeah.
And, you know, Shoichi's understandably the...
But speaking of Whale Unknown, one of the things I loved about the show, the monster designs.
Yeah.
I think the monsters in the show
The designs
really
in
well
general
designed.
in the show are very well done.
Yes. The monsters especially, I think, are really good.
Yeah.
This is a very aesthetically pleasing to look at show.
I also like the fact that they sort of have much more, like the monster-wise, end up having much more of a solid plot to why they're killing the people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, in Kuga, they were doing it, one, to exterminate them, and two, just for a game.
Yeah, they were bored.
Yeah. And in this one, they were just like, we're doing it for the, you know, Lord of Darkness to stop everything.
I am Jesus. I am Jesus.
And also, speaking of which, that the final episode where Agito just rider kicks Lord of Darkness in the face. But as I said, there's just like a lot of lore in this show.
I will say it's weird to come back to a show where the rider kick is like the only finisher.
Yeah.
As opposed to the Neo Heisei era where they have like 90 billion finishers and the rider kick is only used once.
Twice if you're lucky.
And then the movie.
Looking at you, Drive.
Speaking of
That's what I was thinking of.
The movie. The G4 movie.
I didn't have time to watch it, but...
It was a pretty good movie. I mean, it doesn't really end doing a lot of things for the plot because some of the things in this show are sort of out of order. Like, Shining, by this point, is already in the movie, which it shouldn't be.
Yeah, that was its first appearance, was in a special.
Yeah.
Not in the show proper,
Yeah.
which is weird.
I really do like
Which is something that we'll have to get used to, because I'm pretty sure Gaim's final form was first saw in a movie before it was in the show.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yep.
Or just an exclusive one. But I also like the way that some of the things they established in the show, that the AI for the G3 suit and the G3X suit can sometimes end up going out of control. And that's really the basis for the entirety of the G4 movie. And speaking of which, I also really like the way that G4 looks. It's just like a black, sleeker version of the G3 suit, but just as powerful. And the whole...
just powerful, so not very powerful.
Shut up.
Well,
more powerful. You get it. It's an upgrade. But the way
it's got a bigger number
that they end up doing for this one
this
is
isn't
that
golf. Bigger numbers means better.
The AI for the G4 suit ends up killing him, or he ends up getting killed pretty early on, and it's just the AI controlling his body. I love that. That's so creepy.
It's like
the most recent episode of Doctor Who.
Yep.
Freaking Oxygen. But yeah, I also really like the way
Shout out to Whovians who watch our show.
I love the way that the movie is sort of set up in that case. And, you know, it's just a really creepy way to do something like that. And I like the way how dark it is. You know, we're getting to the end of this. This isn't really much more of a story review like I would normally do, just because of the fact that I've seen Agito before, and I do not think I could actually sit through it again.
Also, there really isn't much. I think the story is okay. It's just very, very slow in parts.
It's very expanded when it could have been a lot more.
Could have been more concise.
Yeah, it's just like
that being said, like I said in the beginning of the episode, I enjoyed coming back to review something that was slower paced.
Yeah, but we are going to end up talking about these characters.
You're screwed next time because Ryuki.
Which I've already seen, but
everybody.
I'm so excited to watch that one again. Let's go ahead and start with Shoichi.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen more of a Gary Stu character. It's like people call Tendo a Gary Stu, but Shoichi is like the bad version of him, where he's just like, I'm too nice to be a fault.
He's nice to a fault. He's very good at pretty much everything. I love the episode where he goes to a cooking class to learn how to bake a cake.
Yeah,
and by the next episode, he's teaching it.
The whole thing with the fish where he like stuck his pinky inside the fish.
That made me laugh.
I'm just sitting here.
I thought that was funny.
This is so weird.
As so did Mana.
I mean,
Mana said the same thing. She's like, what the hell?
Like, he's a perfectly fine character. It's just the fact that he just feels a little bit too perfect, but not in the way where his personality doesn't fit exactly how his character is supposed to be. That's sort of why I end up liking Tendo and Tsukasa so much more, because they're arrogant about it, and that makes them hilarious. So you want to be
decades so bad.
Yeah, look, he'll appear again.
Whether we like it or not,
because he will appear again.
He'll be in one of our reviews soon. You never know.
I'm looking for that jacket thing.
He's around here somewhere.
But just like Suichi's just a little bit too perfect, but he's just like, I'm gonna be super humble about it the entire time. And
I kind of like that though.
I really don't. It doesn't speak to me at all.
Because you're an arrogant prick.
No, it's just like that. I just sort of don't like his character that much.
Good one.
You're an arrogant prick. You gravitate towards other arrogant pricks.
I like his
Like
character
Tendo.
is fine and all, but
Like
I'm just
Tsukasa.
like, he's just too much. But
To be fair, at least Tsukasa wasn't arrogant at first.
wasn't he?
No, he was confused first.
Well,
Oh yeah.
He was confused. He was very confused, and then when he kind of accepted it, then he became an arrogant prick because motherfucker, I'm Decade.
Hikawa. We did talk about him in our secondary writer review. He's still a great character.
yeah, he kind
He
of
tries so hard. A for effort.
He's just yeah.
I liked him a lot.
Yeah.
He was birth before birth.
but you know,
I think he's better though.
yeah.
As a character, yes. In terms of usefulness, I don't know. That can be
But yeah,
Well,
Hikawa was just he's sort of that everyman.
Sorry, bring back who would win Kamen Rider G3 versus Kamen Rider Birth.
So a whole
Who's
bunch
the
of-
most useless?
So a whole bunch
No.
of
let us know in the comments.
Throw
who is the
Beast
most
in there
useless.
too. Throw Beast in there too. Who's
Okay.
the most useless?
Who is the most useless secondary writer? Let us know in the comments.
So just throwing a whole bunch of staples at each other. But yeah, Hikawa himself was just a fun character. Like he was really that everyman character that we're all supposed to get behind.
Yes.
And he sort of sets up Gattack. Like their personalities are sort of similar in
Sorta.
the same way. It's just because their storylines sort of follow each other, and I like that about this. But yeah, I really like Hikawa. Hikawa's a great character. Get on to our tertiary writer, Ryo
Gills.
Ashihara Gills. So many bad things can happen to one man. That one man is Ryo.
This poor bastard.
His first
The
girlfriend.
universe
leaves him.
made him his punching bag.
Like he was on the swim team, he got
And then
sick,
he
he
got
couldn't
cut.
be on the swim team anymore.
He got thrown out.
He got thrown out. His coach abandoned him. His
Yeah.
first girlfriend ends up leaving him. His second girlfriend dies.
Yep.
And
And he thinks Agito killed her.
yeah. And then they finally get it all out of the way because it's still a new way.
And then he dies.
He gets a good ending though.
Yeah, he does get a good.
In the end, he's riding around. He finds a little stray puppy, and he's like, "Oh, it's a puppy. I'm gonna take him with me." And then he puts him in his jacket, and they go right off into the sunset. It's adorable.
Yeah, it's adorable, but what are the odds are that puppy died in 10 seconds?
Oh,
Knowing
that
his-
puppy's no,
Not
that
puppy.
puppy's fine.
It's just like, and we gotta talk about Kino. He was so arrogant, but in the bad way, because it's just like, I'm gonna make sure that I'm the only Agito. So a couple of times he ends up trying to kill a couple of people. Gills ends up beating him. He's just like, okay, I'm bad. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
And then, he ends up being swallowed up by the rest of the story and dies.
Yep.
And he does come back in Go Riders, same actor and everything. That's great. It's good to see him after almost, this is 2001, this is 16 years.
Jeez.
It's great to see him again. I really like his character, and that he got the most lines, I think, out of everybody in that.
Good.
It was good to see another Agito again after death, in this case. AD. But Agito, yeah, it's a good show.
It's alright.
It's just,
I liked it.
I like it a lot more than a lot of the more recent shows because it's just like the pacing in this one.
Overall, I would say average.
Yeah, it's average. I don't like it as much as I like Kuga. And I think that's just because
I don't think there'll ever be a Kamen Rider you like as much as you like Kuga.
It's true. Kuga's great. But if you want to watch a much more story-based version...
Watch Kuga.
If you don't mind something that's slower paced,
yeah.
or if you're just curious to check it out,
No.
good to watch, recommended.
Yeah, I would definitely gonna recommend this one.
Oh, no,
it's
absolutely.
still good to watch.
It's still good to watch.
If
It's
you
definitely
want,
better than others.
if you want a more story-based review, go watch Marcus Satsu's History of Kamen Rider Agito. He ends up doing it in a much more fantastical way than our editing skills are capable of.
And also, we don't want to regurgitate everything he says.
True enough.
We're gonna doing it with Ryuga. We're gonna do a much more in-depth Ryuga review like we usually do.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that with Agito, I couldn't watch it a second time again. I remember everything because it hasn't been that. It's been about 5 years since I watched Agito. But
It's only been half a decade.
but yeah,
Oh no, I said the word. What? Don't you dare.
but yeah,
We almost lost him.
still a great show though.
It's like Beetlejuice.
It is.
Decade.
A good decade.
You sit your ass down. That's been our review, everybody.
Oh,
Bye.
Before we end up going, of course, we will go ahead and introduce the next show that we're going to do for episode 33. We're doing Ultraman Mebius.
We're doing Ultraman again.
Yeah,
Yay.
I'm very excited.
I'm excited too.
Y'all have fun.
Nope, you're being there. But yeah, we're doing Ultraman. We're going back to it instead of going directly to Gao Ranger because we do want to switching up a little bit. I mean, we're getting to that point where we can start doing a lot more Ultramans. Some of the other shows.
I just want to get through. I just want to get to fucking 2006. I just want to get to 2006.
Eventually.
What's in 2006?
Garo.
All right.
Yeah, we're gonna do Garo.
I want to do Garo so
We will
bad.
do Garo eventually.
But we do have, other shows to do. Ultraman.
Kanmai Senshi after V.
Kanmai. Yes!
I will be nowhere near this
Marcus
building.
and I are absolutely going to
We'll
review
be
that
nowhere near this building if they review that show.
Oh, we're
great.
reviewing it. We're reviewing it.
Now, okay, when are we reviewing Akiba Ranger?
Post Gokaiger.
Fair enough.
And we.
And will you be anywhere near this building when we review Akiba Ranger?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Some people have also mentioned some other shows. We're not going to.
If schedules allow it, yes.
We're not going to do Ryukendo. No, I can't sit through that show. Remember that thing?
No.
No,
You don't remember Ryukendo?
No.
I don't think so.
Probably not going to do that one. Grand
I'll
Saucer.
take your word for
I
it.
sort of wanted to watch Grand Saucer. That one might be fun.
So
If we can
Ryukendo?
find a good version of it, maybe we'll do one of the Chinese Sentais later on in the future.
Or the Korean
Or
Kyoryuger.
the South Korean Kyoryuger, we could do that one.
We could do that. That's a short one.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that ending. That closing song.
Yeah.
Good, is it bad?
It's terrible.
It's very bad.
It's fucking awful.
but yeah.
It's sad because they also have two pop singers. Oh, I remember Ryukendo now. Sorry. I forgot that's what it was called.
Oh, yeah. Those look familiar.
That's like fucking Garo meets Kamen Rider
Ryuki
with less budget.
But yeah, that's been our review
It doesn't look too
No.
of Agito. Join us next time as we end up doing Ultraman Mebius. Excited for that. Get excited for it.
No.
It's been a while since we did Ultraman since Nexus, and we're hoping that it'll end up being somewhere near as good as that show, even though Nexus was cut unfortunately short. But yeah,
Still a fantastic show, though.
join us in 2 weeks for Ultraman Mebius.
Yeah.
And as always, like, subscribe, like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, all that good shit. We will see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.